JinPingMei Original Version Chapter 20. Silly gangs join in the feast and fools compete to destroy the garden. It was said that Simon King was in the room, and Li Pinger's tender words made him happy and pulled him up, put on his clothes, and hugged each other, making every effort to prepare. At the same time, he asked JinPingMei to go into the room, put down the table, and go to the back to get the wine. Let's talk about Jinlian and Yulu, who entered his room from Simon King and stood at the corner door to eavesdrop on the news. His side was closed again, and JinPingMei was waiting in the yard alone. Jinlian and Yulu opened the door and peered in. They saw lights and candles in the room, but they couldn't hear anyone talking inside. Jinlian said, "I'm not as good as JinPingMei, the thief," but he listened smartly. JinPingMei listened under the window for a while, then came over again. Jinlian asked him quietly what was going on in his room, and JinPingMei told them through the door. Why did my father teach him to take off his clothes and kneel down? But he refused to take off his clothes. My father was angry and whipped him several times. Jinlian said, after beating him, did he take off his clothes? JinPingMei said, when he saw that his father was angry, he panicked, took off his clothes and knelt on the ground. Now my father is asking him a question. Yulu was afraid that Simon King would hear it, so he said, "Fifth sister, let's go over there." Pull Jinlian to the west corner gate. It was the 20th day of August and the moon had just come up. The two stood in the blackhead, talking together, waiting for JinPingMei to come out and ask him something. Pan Jinlian said to Yulu, "My sister, I only want to eat delicious fruits, and I only want to come here. The boss has not moved, and he has already begged for these few blows on his body. I am such a shameless person. If you follow me, it's just a waste of time." Those who belong to the twisted orphan candy category, you are money as well as you are not twisted. Thinking that it was a waste of time to eat the slave woman before, I will be very careful with you. If you still eat him, how can you get me? Then why don't you cry, sister? How long have you been here? And you still don't know his character. While the two were talking, they heard the corner door open. JinPingMei came out and walked straight to the back. Unexpectedly, his mother stood in the shadow and called him, asking, "Little Roar, where are we going?" JinPingMei smiled and just walked away. Jinlian said, "Weird Little Roar, come here and I'll ask you something. Why did you run away in a hurry?" JinPingMei just stood still and said, "He cried and said a lot to my father. My father likes to hug me. Get him up. Make him put on his clothes. Teach me to set the table. And now go to the back to get the wine." After hearing this, Jinlian said to Yulu, "The thief has no shame. The thunder in the head is heavy and the raindrops are small. And it is chaotic. In the meantime, it is not a big deal. I guess there is no need to think about it. Just take it as it comes. Bring the wine and teach him to pass it. You little bastard, don't you have a girl in his room? You go get the wine for him. When you get to the back, you call Zui, the little female slave Maobai, and her voice is loud, but I can't hear it." JinPingMei said, "Dad asked me to take care of my business." Then she went away with a smile. Jinlian said, "I'm such a little meat. I'm so serious about it. I'm as lazy as death. I'm going to do some errands, drill and find cracks, and go so fast. I found two girls in his room. You go for him. Mind your own business." The grape seller is walking with the salt burden. "What a noisy little meat," Yulu said. "That's not what it is. My eldest girl Langshang. I am making him work, son. It doesn't matter if he has something to do. Dad made him act like a ghost and listen to others. Look at how fast he walks." Just as he was talking, he saw Yu Xiao suddenly coming from behind and said, "Sanyang is still here. I'm here to pick you up." Yulu said, "You're going to scare me." Yin asked, "Does your mother know you've come?" Yu Xiao said, "I sent my mother to sleep for the day. I came to take a look. I saw JinPingMei just now. I want some wine and fruit later," because he asked, "What happened when my father came to his room?" Jinlian took it and stretched out his hand and said, "Go into his room and let's tell a story together." Yu Xiao asked Yulu again, and Yulu told him one by one. Yu Xiao said, "Sanyang, did you really teach him to take off his clothes and kneel and then beat him with a 5-horse whip?" Yulu said, "Your father beat him because he didn't kneel down. Yu Xiao said, I brought my clothes to fight, but I went to fight with my clothes. How could he get hurt on his shiny white skin? Yulu said with a smile, It's strange puppy meat. You are worried about the ancients. Just as they were talking, Chanmai took the wine and Xiaoyu took the square box and went straight to Li Pinger. Jin Lian said, Thief little meat. Somehow, I heard Jin Zhu's activities, rats in the clouds, born to waste. He ordered, Send it over quickly and teach his maid to take care of him. Don't worry about him. I will help you. Chanmai smiled and went in with Xiaoyu. After putting the food and wine on the table, they came out, but Xu Chen and Yingchun were in the room to agree. Yulu and Jinlian asked him. Yu Xiao said, Sanyang, let's go behind. The two of them went together. Jinlian asked Chanmai to close the corner door, go back into the room, and rest alone. Without further ado. Exactly, it's a pity that the moon is full of reunion tonight, and the clear light is so close that others are reunited. Not to mention that Jin Lian stayed alone, but that Simon King and Li Pinger loved each other. They drank and talked until midnight, and then they were stretched out with jadeite pillows with mandarin ducks on their pillows, and went to bed. The light cast the shadow, just like the phoenix is singing in harmony in the mirror. The fragrance fills the cage, just like the butterflies dancing among the flowers. Exactly. It's better to take a photo of a silver vat tonight. I'm afraid the meeting is just a dream. There are words to prove it. The light thrush is slanted and combed, and you don't have to worry about it. The clouds in the window and the foggy pavilion are deep, and the flowers and orchids are in the heart. Loving each other, being supported by beautiful people. There is no such thing as a fairy in the world. From now on, I miss you so much, and my love is so beautiful. The two slept until dinner time the next day. Li Pinger just got up and was combing her hair in front of the mirror when she saw Yingxun bringing some rice from behind. The woman rinsed her mouth first, ate half a cup with Simon King, and then told Yingxun, Sip the leftover Jinhua wine from yesterday. Simon King and Simon King each ate 2 pots of Uzi before washing their faces and dressing up. While unpacking the box, he packed some fine jewelry and clothes and looked at them with Simon King. He took out 100 Western beads and showed them to Simon King. They turned out to be brought by the calligrapher of Liangzhong in the past. He also took out a golden laid crow blue hat crown and said it belonged to his late husband. Get off the weighing scale. It weighs 4 cents and 8 cents. Li Pinger taught Simon King and silversmith how to make a pair of pendants for him. He also took out a golden hairbin weighing 9 taels, because he asked Simon King, Do all the ladies in the upper room have this Ndi bun? Simon King said, They have 2 or 3 silver Ndi buns, but they don't have this Ndi bun. The woman said, I can't wear it out. You take it to the silversmith's house and destroy it for me, and make a piece of gold 9 phoenix cushion on the base, with each phoenix holding a string of beads in its mouth, and then make another piece for me according to the instructions. The gold and jade guanyin that his aunt wears on the front is full of charm and distraction. Simon King put it away, combed his hair, washed his face, put on his clothes and went out. Li Pinger said again, There is no one in the room over there. You should at least entrust someone to guard the house and take care of the young man Tianfu. That old Fang, the old traitor, is stumbling there alone, and I worried. Simon King said, I understand. Wearing a Ndi-bun and a hat top on her sleeves, she walked out. You might as well Jin Lian Yanpeng with her head bowed, standing at the head of the east corner door, shouting, Brother, where are you going? Are we coming out now? Simon King said, I have something to do. The woman said, What a weird traitor. Why did you run away in a panic? I'm talking to you. Simon King saw that he was shouting so hard that he had no choice but to come back. After being led into the room by the woman sat on a chair, took his hands and said, I can't scold you. It's the fire that burned your legs. That one used a long pot to eat you. What are they rushing out to grab? Come here and I'll ask you, Simon King said. Well, you little whore, you are just asking for advice. I have something to do. Wait until I come back. Saying that, walking out. The woman felt something heavy in her sleeve and said, What is it? Take it out and let me have a look. Simon King said, It's my money bag. The woman didn't believe it. so she reached into her sleeves and took out a golden bun. She said, "This is his bun. Where can you take it?" Simon King said, "He asked, I know that if you don't have it and say it's hard to wear it, I'll go to the silversmith's house to destroy it for him and make to pieces for him to wear." Jin Liang asked, "How much does this bun weigh? What does he want to wear?" Simon King said, "This bun weighs 9 liang. He wants to wear 1 Jufeng Diana and Zhao Yi." The jade guanyin on the front of the room's wife's face is so charming that it distracts her. Jin Liang said, "1 piece of Jufeng Diana costs 3 to 2 to 5 6 cents of gold. It's enough for me. The big sister's piece is distracting. I only weighed 1 to 2 to 6 cents on the scale. At any rate, you can take care of the rest for me." According to him, he also made a piece of Jufeng Diana. Simon King said, "Man Chizhao wants to reveal the real branches." Jin Liang said, "Just by uncovering the branches and stems, I filled the head with 3 taels of gold. I also dropped 2 or 3 taels of gold, which is enough to make a meadow." Simon King laughed and scolded, "You little whore. You only care about petty gains, but you will find fault with them wherever you go." Jin Liang said, "My son, you should remember what mother said. If you don't fight for me in the future, I will answer your question." Simon King tied his sleeves into a bun and went out with a smile. Jin Liang joked, "Brother, you did it." Simon King asked, "How did I do it?" Jin Liang said, "If you don't do it, yesterday when the thunder was loud and the raindrops were light, I had to teach him to hang himself. Today I took out a yen de bun. It makes you a greasy talker and a ghost, and I'm not afraid that you won't leave." Simon King laughed and said, "This little whore only talks nonsense." Then he went out. But Wu Yunyang, Meng Yulu, and Li Jiar were sitting in the room when they suddenly heard the noise of the servants outside looking for Wanger, but they couldn't find her. When Ping'an came to lift the curtain, Yunyang asked, "Why are you looking for him?" Ping'an said, "Father, please wait." It took half a day for Yunyang to say, "I've made him do something." It turned out that Yunyang had ordered him to deliver sesame oil and white rice to Wang Yuzi's nunnery in the morning. Ping'an said, when the young man came back to his father, he only said that his mother had made him do something. Yunyang scolded, "It's weird, slave. You can go back any way you want." Ping'an was too panicked to say anything and walked out. Yunyang then said to everyone in the Jade Tower, "I opened my mouth and said I was in charge. I didn't say anything. And I was panicking. If someone pulls the strings, the house will be sold. It's just nonsense. Just ringing bells and playing drums. What are you guarding? There is his wife Feng's wife on the left and right. And a wifeless boy is sent to stay there. What if he is afraid of leaving the house?" Baba calls Lai Wang and his wife to go. His wife has all kinds of illnesses. Pain. He fell ill for a while. Who will help him? Yulu said, "Sister, it's not my place to say. You are the head of the family. If you and his father don't talk to each other, it's not easy for us to advocate." "Yes. The children below have never defected. His father has been cheating on me every 2 days for the past 2 days, which is very boring." My sister followed my every word and laughed with his father. Yunyang said, "Sister Meng, please don't even think about it. I have never quarreled with him. He is just showing off his temper. Even if he shows off his face, don't expect me to look at him. Just one glance." He called me an unvirtuous slut behind his back. How could I be unvirtuous? Only now that there are 7 or 8 people standing in the room. Do you know that I am not a virtuous person? Since ancient times, saying nice things according to the mood will always make people dislike you. When I said I wanted to stop you, it was just for the sake of convenience. You have collected a lot of things from him, bought his house, and today you are plotting against his wife. Even if you are an official, you are interested in Kiao, not to mention that he is dissatisfied with his filial piety. So it is not easy for you to marry him. Who knew that he had made a perfect trap behind his back. He kept it secret from me every day and put me under the vat. I was pushed to rest in the courtyard today and will be pushed to the courtyard tomorrow too. Li Zi, who would have thought that he just wanted to rest at home and take a good rest in the courtyard. He cannibalized people in front of him with such gorgeous foxes, Kiao Long and tigers, and coax him with a double-edged sword. Just like Jin, that's great. It seems like I always rely on honesty and good words, asking him to take care of you. You ignore me. I want to beg you? I don't have 3 meals a day. I just pretend to be a man and a widow. Here, just let me go and leave him alone." The few words he said made everyone in the Jade Tower chatter. For a long time, I saw Li Ping'er dressing up, wearing a bright red and gold double-breasted shirt, a green cover and a muddy flower skirt. Yingxin holding a silver soup vase, Su Chen holding a tea box, walking up to the room and talking to the moon. The ladies handed tea to everyone. Yunyang asked Xiao Yu to set up a seat and sit with him. Sun Zui, who was lagging behind, also came. They all handed tea and sat on the ground together. Pan Jinlian was quick to speak and shouted, "Sisterly, come here and say hello to me." To tell you the truth, my eldest sister and his father didn't talk for a while. And they all came here for you. I always did it for you just now. I persuaded Z for a day. You can arrange a banquet for another day. Young and eldest sister, and teach the 2 old wives to laugh, Li Ping'er said. Sister orders, slave knows. So she placed a candle in front of Yunyang and seemed to count out for times. Yunyang said, "Sisterly, he is coaxing you." Then he said, "Fifth sister, don't come here to flirt with me. I've made a vow that I won't even talk to him for 100 years. No one dared to say anything anymore." Jinlian took a sip with Li Ping'er and smacked his head. She saw that he was wearing a golden and exquisite grassworm head mask and a golden silk pine, bamboo, plum and 3 friends combing his back, because he said, "Sisterly, you shouldn't hitting the head and face of this broken grass insect. Scratching the hair a little is not as good as the golden guanyin mankai worn by the elder sister, which is good for uncovering the real branches and stems." Li Ping'er was honest and said, "I still want to teach a silversmith how to make a piece of silver." After Xiao Yu and Yu Xiao came to hand him tea, they all made fun of him. First, Yu Xiao asked, "Liu Niang, where did your husband come from the Yemen in the imperial city?" Li Ping'er said, "First, I will be in charge of the factory in the department of Sixen." Yu Xiao smiled and said, "I'm sorry that you, old man, got a lot of firewood yesterday." Xiao Yu said again, "Last year, many elders in the village really wanted to find you and teach you to go to Tokyo." The woman was unconscious and said, "Why is he looking for me?" Xiao Yu smiled and said, "He said you are good at suing for floods." Yu Xiao said again, "Your mother worships thousands of Buddhas in your hometown. She kowtowed enough yesterday." Xiao Yu said again, "Yesterday, the court sent orders for 4 nights and refused to collect. Please go out and make peace with me." "Is this what you said?" Li Ping'er said. "I don't know." Xiao Yu smiled and said, "I told you that your old man can call you Dada." Yulu and Jinlian couldn't stop laughing. Yunyang scolded, "It's weird, Rumei. Why do you only care about ridiculing him when you are doing your business?" Then Li Ping'er's face turned red and white from embarrassment, and she couldn't stand or sit still. Went back to the room in half a day. After a long time, Simon King came into the room and went back to the house where he hired a silversmith to make a living. "Just worry about sending out invitations, and on the 25th, I will treat the official guests to a meal and a drink, and of course I will invite Brother Hua," Li Ping'er said. "His wife has been here for 3 days, and she has said it again and again." "That's fine. You can ask him to please," Li Ping'er said again. "There are old Feng guarding the house over there. You can teach Tianfuer to stay here in turn. There is no need to ask Wang Guan to go." Sister Shang Fang said that his wife is sick and can she go? Simon King said, "I don't know." He called Ping and ordered, "You and Tianfuer will take 2 wheels one by one and spend the night in a house on Lion Street, not in words." Unexpectedly, on the 25th, Simon King had a dinner and drinks at his home, arranged a flower arrangement banquet, and performed acrobatics together. The 4 singers, Sister Li Gui, Wu Yin'er, Dong Yuxian, and Han Jinchuaner, have been here since noon. The officials and guests had tea in the rolling shed, waited until everyone was ready, and then sat down in the hall. The first seat was Uncle Hua and Uncle Wu, the second seat was Uncle Wu and Uncle Shen. The third seat was Earl Ying and Zi Zaida, the fourth seat was Zhu Xinian and Sun Tianhua. The 5th seat was Chang Jiji and Wu Dian. The sixth seat was Yunli Shu by Lai Guang. Simon King took the seat, while Fu Zixin, Ben Dechuan, and son-in-law Chen Jingji sat on both sides. The musicians have been juggling several times, which is the original version of the Zhao Yuan. After going down, two young players, Li Ming and Wu Hui, came up to play and sing, blowing the music in between. Go down, the four can sing, and pass the wine outside the banquet. Earl Ying spoke first at the banquet. Brothers' wedding banquet today. Brothers should not be bold enough to invite their new sister-in-law to come out to see her, which shows their close affection. I don't care, Hua Dazan, my two uncles, and Shen my uncle. Why are you here today? Simon King said. I'm ugly and can't bear to be seen, so I'll leave her alone. Seize it out, brother. It's hard to say this. I had said it first. If I wasn't my sister-in-law, why would I come here? What's more, when I see my beloved elder brother Hua here, we become friends first and then we become relatives, so we are different from others. Please come out and meet me. What are you afraid of? Simon King couldn't stop laughing. Earl Ying said, Brother, don't laugh. I'm always here with the money to pay my respects. It's not in vain for me to teach him to come out to see you. Simon King said, You are a bitch. You just talk nonsense. When he couldn't force him again and again, he called Diane to come and teach him to talk about it later. Half a day later, Diane came out and said, Liu Niang said, Please forgive me. Earl Ying said, That's you, you little bald puppy. When will you go back and coax me? Diane said, Young man, why don't you coax Ying's second father? Second father go in and ask if you are okay. Earl said, You think I don't dare to go in? There are well-known pots in the garden. How about I go in and even your ladies come out? Diane said, My big lion dog is so harmless. It didn't tear off the lower half of Yinger's father. The Earl deliberately left the table, kicked Dan twice, and said with a smile, What a good puppy. I'm glad you hurt me. Come with me as soon as possible. Please don't come and hit 20 railings. It made everyone, including the four singers, laugh. Diane walked down and stood there, looking only at his father who didn't move. Simon King had no choice but to call Diane over and said, I'll tell you, Liu Niang, to pack up and come out and see you. Dan came out after half a day and invited Simon King to come in again. Then he drove out the people under his feet and closed the ceremony door. Meng Yulu and Pan Jinlian encouraged him in every possible way, bowed their heads for him, wore hukui, and sent him out. A brocade-embroidered carpet was laid out in the hall, and the four singers went to the back to play instruments and guide the way forward. Musk orchid yen tai, silk and bamboo sing in harmony. The woman wears a bright red and colorful full-sleeved robe, a skirt with golden branches and green leaves, a floral skirt with gold branches, a jasper belt around her waist, and gold sleeves on her wrists. There are colorful tassels on the chest, jingling bells on the skirt, piles of green pearls on the head, half-undressed hairpins on the temples. Green flowers should be attached to the pink face, and the Hunan skirt will look more and more like red mandarin ducks. Exactly, it seems like Zhen Cheng left the Moon Palace, like a goddess arriving before a banquet. Now there are for singers, pipa and zither strings, surrounding the woman, flowers blooming, embroidery ribbons fluttering, looking up to worship. Everyone in panic came down from the table and refused to return the courtesy. But it was said that Meng Yulu, Pan Jinlian, and Li Jiar, surrounded by Yunyang, were all listening behind the soft wall of the hall. They heard singing, I am so happy to have achieved fame and success, and the couple in heaven is like a pair, like a Luan and a phoenix, until reunion forever, husband and wife for generations to come. Jin Lian said to Yunyang, Sister, you are listening to the singing. My little wife shouldn't sing like this today. He made a pair of fish and water reunion, husband and wife for generations. Where do you put your sister? Although Yunyang is good-natured, after hearing these two sentences, I felt a little annoyed. When he saw Earl Ying, Zida and others, Li Pinger came out to worship. He wished he could praise and flatter her, saying, My sister-in-law is rare in Duan, and paralleled in the world. Don't say that she is virtuous and gentle, with a heavy demeanor. There is no one like him in the world. Where can I have such a great blessing as my brother? Every time I get to see my sister-in-law today, I will benefit from it even if I die tomorrow. Because he called Danner, please ask your mother to go back to the room quickly. I'm afraid she will be worth a lot if she works hard. After Wu Yunyang and everyone heard this, they kept scolding the nonsense and light-tongued prisoners. After a long time, Li Ping'er came down. When the four singers saw that he had money in his hand, they all followed him indiscriminately. The eldest daughter and the younger son picked up flowers and greenery for him, folded clothes, and did everything they could. Yunyang returned to her room, very unhappy. I saw Dan and Ping'an receiving a lot of money from worship, as well as rulers, clothes and favor gifts. They were put in boxes and brought to Yunyang's room. Yunyang didn't even look at her and scolded, "You're a thief. Just bring it to the front. Why did you bring it to my room for nothing?" Diane said, "Father told me to bring it to my mother's room." Yunyang asked Yu Xiao to take it and put it on the bed. After a while, Uncle Wu finished his second soup and rice and walked into the back to see Yunyang. When Yunyang saw her brother coming into the room, she quickly bowed to him and sat down. Uncle Wu said, "Your sister-in-law bothered you here yesterday, and thanked your brother-in-law for sending the table. When you got home, you told me that you and your brother-in-law didn't speak for a while. I insisted on coming to persuade you, and I didn't want my brother-in-law to invite you again today. Sister, if you wait like this, your good life will be ruined." Since ancient times, idiots have been afraid of their wives, and virtuous women have been afraid of their husbands. 3 obediences and 4 virtues are the normal way of women. From now on, you can't stop him from doing anything he does, and he won't let his brother-in-law do anything wrong either. Yes, only by being a good teacher can you show your virtue. Yunyang said, "You should be virtuous early, and don't hate people like this. He has his rich sister, and he treats me, a poor official's girl, just as someone who has forgotten his past and is settling accounts. Don't worry about him, either. It's me who's left. Let him do whatever he wants with me." When did he change his mind like this? As she said this, Yunyang cried. Uncle Wu said, "Sister, you are bad at this. You and I are not that kind of people. Let's stop being like this. You and I are doing well together, and I am brighter every time I come here." He persuaded Yunyang. "Xiao Yu brings tea." After finishing the tea, I saw the servant from the front came to invite me. Uncle Wu made a farewell to Yunyang and came out. After everyone had eaten and held the lamps, they got up and dispersed. Each of the 4 singers, Li Ping'er, had a gold-stained scarf and 5 silver coins, and went home happily. From then on, Simon Kinglian rested in Ping'er's room for several nights. Everyone else, only Pan Jinlian, was annoyed, secretly instigating Wu Yunyang and Li Ping'er to join forces. To Li Ping'er, she said that Yunyang could not tolerate such people. Li Ping'er didn't know she had fallen into his trap, but she always called her sister and became very close to him. Exactly. When you meet someone, say a few words, but don't give up everything. Simon King married Li Ping'er and got 2 or 3 windfalls. His family was prosperous, and his village and home were completely renewed. Rice and wheat are in the warehouse, mules and horses are in groups, and slaves are in rows. He brought Li Ping'er to his servant Tianfu and changed his name to Qintong. I bought 2 more boys, one is Lionaire and the other is Chess Boy. They tied up the spring plum blossoms in the golden lotus room, the jade flute in the upper room, the welcoming spring in Li Ping'er's room, and the orchid fragrance in the jade building. They tied up the 4 ordinary girls with clothes, jewelry, and makeup. In the west wing of the front hall, they taught the brothers Li Jier how to play musicians. Li Ming came to his home to teach exercises and learn to play and sing. The pipo is played with plum blossoms in spring. The zither is played with the jade flute. The string instrument is played with the spring. And the hookah is played with the orchid fragrant. 3 tea and 6 meals a day, taking care of Li Ming, and giving him 5 taels of silver a month. He opened 2 more rooms on the facade, cashed out 2,000 taels of silver, and asked Fu Fu and Ben Dechuan to open the pawn shop. The son-in-law Chen Jingji only holds the key and goes in and out looking for it. Bai Dechuan only wrote accounts and weighed goods. Mr. Fu supervised the herbal medicine and Jidang shops, looking at silver and doing business. Pan Jinlian's upstairs is stacked with raw medicines, Upstairs on Li Ping'er's side, the compartments were made into shelves, where clothes, jewelry, antiques, calligraphy and paintings, and other fun things were stored. A lot of money can be spent in one day. Chen Qingji would get up early and go to bed late every day. He would take the keys with him and check the money coming in and out with his clerk. And he was very good at writing and calculating. When Simon King meets him, he either likes her or not. One day, I was having dinner with him at the same table in the front hall and said, "Brother-in-law, if you are doing business in my house, even if your father in Tokyo knows about it, he will feel at ease, and I have to take care of him. As the saying goes, you have children, you have children. I have no son-in-law to rely on. If I don't come out for a long time, this share of the property will belong to both of you." Na Jingji said, "Unfortunately for my son, his family was involved in official affairs. His parents were far away, and he took refuge with his parents. He was praised by his parents, which is a great favor that cannot be repaid by life or death. It's just that the son is young and doesn't know what is good. I hope my parents will wait for him." "How dare you not hope?" Simon King felt more and more happy when he heard that he was talking smart and well-behaved. He was taught to write all household affairs, incoming and outgoing letters, and ceremonial invitations. Whenever a guest arrives, he must be invited to accompany him at the table. Having tea and dinner is always a must without him. Who knows that this young man has a needle in his skin and a thorn in his flesh? I often peek at Jiayu through the embroidered curtain and steal Korean incense from the cheap pavilion. Time flies, and before I know it, it's late November again. It was early when Simon King had tea at Chang Jiji's house. He got up before lighting the lamp and walked side by side with Earl Ying, Zizida and Shu Shinian. As soon as I walked out the door, I saw the sky was covered with thick clouds, and snowflakes were falling one after another. Earl Ying then said, "Brother, let's go home at this time, and we won't accept it at home. I haven't gone in to see Sister Gui for a long time. Today, well, the snow is falling. I just want to look at Minghaoren walking in the snow to look for plum blossoms." Zhu Shi thought. That's what Brother Ying said. "You pay 20 silver coins to carry him every month, rain or shine. If you don't go, he will be left alone." Simon Kinky and the three of them said something to each other, which made Majin go to East Street. When we arrived at Sister Li Gui's house, it was getting late. I saw a lamp in the guest seat, and the girl was sweeping the floor. My mother and Li Gixing came out. After the ceremony, for chairs were arranged and for people sat down, the old godly woman then said, "Sister Gui came late to the house and caused a lot of trouble. Thank you Liu Niang also for the beautiful flowers in her sweat towel." Simon King said, "I missed him that day. I was afraid that I would be late for them and the guests would disperse, so I sent him here." With that said, while the godly woman watched the tea and ate, the maid placed the table and placed the wine. Simon King asked, "Why is Sister Gui missing?" Po Jin said, "Sister Gui has been serving her brother-in-law at home for days, but she didn't see him coming. Today is his 5th aunt's birthday, so she picked her up in a sedan and went to celebrate her birthday with his 5th aunt." It turns out that Sister Li Gui never went to her 5th aunt's house to celebrate her birthday. Seeing that Simon King was not coming recently, he picked up Ding Erguan, the son of Ding Xianggong, who was selling silk in Hangzhou. He sold silk for 1,000 taels of silver and went to the courtyard to go whore in the inn without telling his father. I invited Sister Li Gui with 10 taels of silver and 2 sets of Hangzhou heavy silk clothes, and rested for 2 nights in a row. Just now, he and Sister Gui were having wine in the room, and they didn't want Simon King to arrive. The old Qianpo hurriedly taught Sister Gui to accompany him to sit in a secluded small room on the 3rd floor at the back. At that moment, Simon King listened to the pious mother-in-law's words and said, "Since Sister Gui is not here, Mom, hurry up and bring the wine. I will wait for him slowly." The old godly woman was working hard below, and the food, wine, and vegetables were all served, and in a moment, the table was filled with food. Li Gixing couldn't help but play the zither on the wild goose pole, singing a new tune, and everyone at the table guessed the order. "While you are drinking, you might as well go to the back and change clothes." When something happened, I suddenly heard someone laughing in the east ear room. Simon King finished his clothes and went to the window to take a peek. He saw Sister Li Gui drinking with a barbarian wearing a scarf in the room. Unconsciously, he got angry. He walked to the front and overturned the drinking table with one hand, smashing the dishes and cups into pieces. He ordered for young men, Ping An, Dian, Painting Boy, and Kin Boy, who were following the horse, to come up and smash the bed curtains on the windowsills of Li's house. Earl Ying, Zizida and Shu Shinian couldn't help but pull forward. Simon King kept saying that he only wanted to pick out the barbarian prisoners and lock him and Fen Tu in the gatehouse with a rope. The second officer, Ding, was a timid person. When he saw a fight outside, he hid under the bed in the inner room in a panic, shouting, "Sister Gui, help me!" Sister Gui said, "Bah, okay, there's still Mom. This is a common occurrence among people in our courtyard. It doesn't matter. Just let him yell and yell, and you just don't come out." Seeing that Simon King's fight was not up to par, and that he was trying to build a bridge and lie, the old Qianpo stepped forward to tell the difference. Simon King still listened to him, but he was so angry that he yelled at the boy and started beating her, and he almost didn't beat Mrs. Li. Thanks to the persuasion of Earl Ying, Zizida and Shu Shinian, Huo Lala took action. Simon King made a big fuss, vowed never to come to his door again, and got on his horse to go home in the heavy snow. Exactly, it is better to go home and sleep with your wife when you spend all your time here. Although there is no interest in the pillow, sleeping until dawn is free.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.